Glad you asked that question because, a lot of our people don't understand and really don't get it. The hits that we are receiving in the newspapers, the Post, the Times, whatever it is, and the question of whether or not we are functioning dysfunctional is because we are changing the way government used to operate, the infrastructure. Because you got to remember, the entire infrastructure has been dominated by Republican rule. The entire infrastructure. Right now, we have changed things, changed ways of lives that people were used to and saw as the norm. These are things that we did, but the story doesn't get told. Only the negative story gets told, and I appreciate you having me on the show to give me an opportunity to tell the people what is going on. We are doing God's work in Caesar's house. It is a fight day in and day out to pass legislation that is reflective of the impact it has, not on people in one region, but people in all regions in the state of New York. That is what the fight is about. The fight is about change that came, and no one's willing to accept change. So that is why we are fighting so hard. And if you look at it, the Republicans were just in the minority for 6 months, and they decided to do a coup. 6 months. And some of us have been in the minority for decades. Our main focus and concentration will be 1, making sure we reduce spending. 2, creating jobs. 3, making sure we provide tax reliefs in the form of income tax relief or property tax relief. Property tax relief is extremely important.
Wait, not to interject, but I got to ask this question. When we say create jobs, how are we creating jobs when the state is cutting and freezing and everything else? What jobs are we talking about creating?
What we're talking about is with the Green Jobs Initiative. There should be anywhere between 15 to 25,000 jobs created because of this Green Jobs Initiative. Basically transforming our homes, transforming our businesses to be more environmentally friendly, energy conscious. What also we're doing is making sure we provide the necessary tax credits and have the available finance for those to develop.
I have no idea where I could send somebody who's going to employ this person for a green job. Where do I send them?
You can call my office at 518-455-2788.
Say that again.
518-455-2788. We can speak to Michelle in my office. What we're doing is we're working with the laborers union. The laborers local. They have a contact person in there, which we're developing training throughout the city so we can get in the state to get those young men and women, even if you have a criminal record or were formerly incarcerated, to take it. These are good paying jobs, anywhere from $18 to $25 an hour.
Are people of color owning these businesses?
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
What do we do when our people don't answer?
Continue to do what you've been doing. Being persistent. That's what it is. You don't take no for an answer. You try to discover that information that is necessary. Knowledge is power. And I'm sorry that some of my colleagues don't take advantage of what you have to offer, but I'm going to take full advantage and let everybody know that we are out there working extremely hard. We do make mistakes. Some of us do tend to forget to call back, but my colleagues in my state Senate, the Democratic Conference, we're working extremely hard to pass meaningful legislation. This is about letting our people know that we are kings, we are queens, but most of all, we are people. We are people of relevance. I don't think it's about getting you the backseat. What I think it's about making sure what is aware of what is not only aware and available for us. And I appreciate you giving me this opportunity to be on the show, for coming up to Albany, to being proactive, not reactive. A lot of people say, elected officials don't do anything. We don't do anything because you don't ask us to do something.
Of course.
And that's what it is. This is a partnership that we have to work to collectively in order to accomplish. We need to take ownership. Ownership and accountability is so important. We have to step back at times and say, how can we work together to satisfy or to resolve the problems of the world? Money is a conduit to get your message out. It is. It is a conduit to get your message out. But a lot of times people, when we come from poor communities, they can't afford to make those contributions. But if you can't make the contributions monetarily, your time and your effort is much more priceless. To go out there to help us knock on doors, to create coffee clutches or symposiums for us to come and speak to get our message out.
Now, we'll get back to how's this budget going and what are the cuts you possibly anticipating or you'll fight against it affect our community?
Well, let me tell you what we're fighting for. We're trying to make sure that the monies for those bus passes are in this budget. We're making sure that the money for the summer youth employment programs are in here. We're fighting to make sure that we limit the amount of service cuts, but also cuts that the MTA has to make here throughout this transit system. We're fighting to ensure that prisons are closed in certain communities so we can basically create another structure because crime is going down. Mm-hmm. At the same time, we want to make sure we utilize those facilities for something else, possibly job growth or job creation.
So, go ahead. I'll let you finish.
And what we're also doing is making sure that we create the structural reform that is necessary so we do not basically repeat. This is a mess that we inherited. We did not create this mess. 43 years, the Senate was controlled by the Republicans. 43 years. During that period of time, our budget doubled from $60 billion to $120 billion. Our debt that they accumulated went from 31 billion to 54 billion every year. Before there's any payments made to any vital services or employees, there is $5 to $6 billion debt service that we have to pay because of debt that the prior majority accumulated.
So now
you have to be careful in the decisions that you make because the decisions that you make do not impact people just for a day or a week or a month.
I want
These decisions can impact people for generations, their entire life. So we have to be certain to make sure that the cuts in services that we are implementing, the spending, if there are any, that we include can create jobs,
continue with our services,
continue with the essential services that give us the opportunity to once again become the Empire State.